You are tuning into a podcast which inspires aspiring entrepreneurs, athletes, and people to follow their passion. My name is Irshad Ali, an athlete entrepreneur best known for being a professional natural physique athlete and a former world champ. And I'm sitting down with individuals to talk about their stories, the lessons they've learned, and how to make an impact. This is
Stories with Irshad.
The podcast Stories with Irshad is back. Today, I am super pumped for this one. This one has been a long time in the making. This guy is a phenomenal guy with years of experience in the fitness industry, an ex-gym owner, now owns a massive food business which even sponsor the Blues. Please welcome to the podcast, Taran Machra.
Hey, Irshad.
Hey Taran, welcome to the podcast, man. This has been long in the making. Glad to finally have you here, bro. And I know this is going to be an exciting one. This is going to be filled with a lot of value. How has 2024 been for you, man?
Yeah, it's been a while. I think we discussed this 2 years ago.
2 years ago, bro.
2024 it's good, man. You know, we are blessed to be doing what we do, and obviously the year, has been with challenges. But so far so good, no complaints.
Yeah, well, like your journey is a really interesting one, man, from India to New Zealand to Australia, now back to New Zealand, and then what you've built yourself over the last sort of half a decade to a decade. I guess majority of the building has come there, but you've been laying the foundation for years, haven't you?
Yeah, well, what we have now in the business as SwoleFoods has kind of been a culmination of my whole life. You know, it's been a culmination of every prior experience I've had, whether it be working as a personal trainer, nutritionist, owning a gym. All of that kind of trained me in some way or the other to fall into starting this business. And then I think my real journey began when I started SwoleFoods, because nothing could prepare me, even though I was ready for the concept and the idea and belief that I could do it. But, starting a business from nothing, from zero, bootstrapping it, one has to go through it themselves in order to understand
that feeling.
Yeah, that feeling, what it draws out of you.
Yeah. Well, we'll come back to SwoleFoods, man, but like take me back to the humble beginnings, because you've always been a fit guy. You've always been into sports. You've always been a competitive person. And you've even, had the opportunity to represent India professionally. And I don't think a lot of people actually know this side of you. Yeah. So I just want to really dive down into this. The mindset, I guess, of an athlete, mindset of competition, mindset of winning. And then I guess we'll get down later on into the podcast into how now that's been helping you in business sort of thing. So take me back to, I know you played badminton. Squash, sorry. It was squash. You played squash back in the days. In the teenage and to maybe even, was it early 20s as well?
No, till my late teens.
Late teens. So tell me a little bit about that. How did you squash? So I bet you a lot of people listening that know Taran as Mr. SwoleFoods don't know actually he was a squash pro back in his early to late teens. So tell me about that. How did you get into squash?
Yeah, that's an interesting story, because I was, one thing you said, I was always fit. I wasn't always fit.
You actually weren't always fit?
No, I guess till I was 8 or 10 years old, I was a little chubby character. I was a chubby kid. And what happened, how squash came into my life was my father used to be a member of a gymkhana that they call, something like this, which is like a sports club, where they had different sports. Squash was one of them. They had a swimming pool. They had badminton there as well, volleyball.
Just so you guys know, when Taran meant something like this, this office is part of a badminton center downstairs. So just a little bit of context.
Yes. Yeah. So I was never interested to go there, and cricket, we used to play cricket, being in Bombay. As a young child, cricket was really fascinating for me. Even in school, I played cricket. But when I was about, I think 8 or 9 years old, I was, like I said, I was quite chubby. And one day, we used to play downstairs in our building, this apartment complex. But then in India, it was like 3 or 4 buildings were very close to each other. And then all the kids used to all play together. And one day in the evening, I was playing downstairs, and my father came back from work, and we were all in a fight, with some kids, and
this is in Mumbai.
In Mumbai, yeah. So I was kind of getting a little bit beaten up, and so my father came down. He parked his car, and then he came and he separated all the kids, and then he took me upstairs, and he's like, "From today onwards, you're never playing downstairs," because I was playing with all the, the street kids, the people who live on, like, there's outside our building, there was like street vendors and stuff like that. So all their kids,
Yeah.
And so the next day he took me to the squash, took me to the gymkhana, and he took me to the squash coach, and he said, "I want you to train my son. I want you to get him to start playing squash." And I didn't know what squash was before that,
Yeah. And how old were you at this time?
I think I was 8.5 years old.
8.5.
Yeah,
and you go into
9.
this sort of like this gymnasium sort of a place where squash,
And everyone over there was really proper, like much more etiquette and things like that. But I was just a kid, and the squash coach started training me. So I used to go there every evening after school. So instead of playing downstairs in the building now with all these kids, my mom used to come home, change, and then my mom would go take me in the auto rickshaw to this squash training. And I started playing squash, and primarily one of the goals was also what my father told the coaches to get me to lose weight. Yeah.
How bad was it that you had to?
I was just chubby, man.
Just chubby.
Just chubby, heavy. I've always been like heavy framed. I had a little belly and like a little motu, like a child. And the squash trainer started training me, and then I made some friends, other kids my age, and I really started liking it because we were all, when you, I guess also it might have just been belonging to like a team, like everyone shows up together.
Yes.
And that maybe even that first time in my life I experienced some level of discipline,
structure.
Structure. Show up. This is the training we're doing, and I guess also because of my cricket experience, squash is a very risky sport. You got to have
it's tough, man.
Skill
I've definitely
hand.
played squash, and it's like, I know a lot of people take squash lightly, but you have to be fit, man. You have to be agile, fit, fast, and you have to think fast too.
Yeah.
So
I took to it quite well, and after about, I think it was 3 or 5 months of training and learning how to play the game, and becoming still a novice really. My squash coach entered me and 3 other of my friends who we were all training together into a Western India national championship.
Like a kids,
kids under 12s, under 12s, and so that was the first time I didn't know what tournaments were.
Yeah.
I went there. I didn't know what a draw was. It was all a new experience for me. And I showed up there, and I was one of the kids who had a wooden racket, and everyone else was playing with graphite rackets and stuff like that. So because I was still a beginner, you know, and I started playing the tournament, and I had a first match, and I won that match, and I was super excited. I was like, went home, and so I won the match, and then after 2 days there was my second match, round 2. I won that one as well. Then there was like a quarterfinal match. In the quarterfinal match, I was pegged against the number 5 seed of that tournament. And I lost the first, it's a best of 5.
Yeah.
So I lost the first 2 games. And then, my mom was there with me. She came for that quarterfinal match. And I went outside, and I just told her, I said, I'm not going to lose. Like, I have to win, I want to win. And the guy, I think he got a little bit overconfident.
Yes.
I don't know what happened, but he dropped his level a little bit. And then I beat him 3-2. So I won the next 3 games.
3-2.
Yeah, and I beat the number 5 seed.
Or do you think you tired him out? Like you tried so hard at the start.
Could have been, but that wasn't my strategy. It wasn't my strategy. Anyway, after I did that, the next day my name was in the newspapers and stuff, like
for beating the
Machra
number 5 seed.
Upseeds Agarwal. I still remember this name just came to me. Like I upset the number 5 seed,
Oh shit.
Bro, I was in the newspaper, and then in the morning, like all my mom's friends and my cousins all started ringing the house. Like, is this like Taran's name in the newspaper and
So
stuff?
they take this stuff pretty seriously back
Yeah, it
then.
was
Like for
like
kids even. Kids, they take it
yeah,
serious.
yeah. And
That's
it was
pretty
like a Western India championship.
Yeah.
You know, so it was a big tournament. Like,
Yeah.
because it wasn't only kids. It was like all ages, but
Yeah.
they were in categories, right? Like you have
okay.
under 8s, under 10s, under
Yeah.
12s, and so on. And bro, that just put me on another level of like confidence. And then when that happened, my dad straight away, he said, come on, let's go buy you a new racket. And I went and bought myself like a graphite racket, because now I was in the semifinals.
Yeah.
And so I played. So then the semifinals I went to play, and it was against the number 2 seed of the tournament, and I lost the first game, and then I kind of figured out his tactic. You know, I just got on to how he was beating me, like this few techniques he was using, and then I told my dad for that tournament. My dad came, my mom came, my sister came, and it squash is like you watch from the balcony upstairs. You know.
So how many people will be like at this tournament over there watching the kids one at that like any given time? Like these matches?
Per match would be not more than like 40, 50 people, because the space is limited over a squash court.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I beat him the next 3 games. Like I beat the number 2 seed, and I won the semifinals. 3-1.
3-1.
Yeah, because it's best of 5s.
Oh, yes.
And again, my name was in the newspaper and stuff. And just, amazing moment. But then I was in the finals, I was playing the number 1 seed. So and that guy was the number 1 seed of India. You know, and
so he's like a international under 12s.
That's right.
Rip.
You know, he was like already national champion and all that kind of stuff. And I knew him because he used to train in the same squash club that I used to train in.
Did you ever like have warm-up matches or anything with him?
He didn't even, I didn't exist, bro, to him. You know, like I was like, he just wiped the floor with me. You know, when I played the finals, he just like, I didn't know where the ball was going, to be honest. He was at levels, man, levels above. But it was my very first tournament. I reached the finals. I upset my name in the newspapers. And then when I went back to the coach, I said, I want to play seriously, you know, like I want to become good at this. And after that day, everything switched. Like I really got disciplined. I now started going for runs before school, after school, all that kind of stuff. So I think that was my very first experience of competition, adversity. Someone's trying to beat you, one-up you, and then you got to fight and overcome that. And then the work that you have to put behind the scenes, which is all going to then culminate into some event, you know?
Please tell me, fast forward to, did you ever play that kid again and did you beat him?
No. So that kid, he then went on to become like, he was winning international tournaments, and I never beat that kid, man.
Did you ever verse him again though in a competition?
Yeah, he was my nemesis. You know, he was like he always has had a one up on me. So I used to pray someone else beats him, or he doesn't show up or something. Yeah.
Man, how good was this kid?
He was very good. Yeah, he was very good. Yeah.
Wow.
And so we played. Then we became friends. You know, we used to train together, and we ended up even actually going to college in the same college together, and we became buddies. And we are even in touch today. Actually, nowadays, he reached out on Facebook, and he's gone and got a good life now. And so that was really my initial days.
Yes.
And as a part of squash training, when I grew a lot older, like when I was 15, 16 years old. The coaches back then they said, oh, you need to start going to the gym now and developing some more strength. Because I had become from little chubby, I was now extremely lean. Like I lost all body fat. I was like a lean kid. For squash, you have to be very light and fast.
And plus probably you're burning a lot more calories now, week in, week out.
100%. Like we, on weekends, we sometimes were, basically my mom and dad used to drop me off to this club at like 9 in the morning, pick me up at 5:30. And what I used to do is I used to play other members. So everyone who's coming to play, like, if there's another guy who's just shown up to play 1 hour, they book the court.
Yeah.
So I used to just play all of them non-stop, just keep playing people for practice. So I was technically sometimes playing 5-6 hours of squash non-stop.
Over the weekends.
Playing all these, and then I remember we used to have these bets where if they could beat me, I buy them a club sandwich. If if I beat them, then they buy me like a club sandwich or some sort of milkshake or something.
So you'd be eating pretty much all day.
All day. I used to like have credits with the cafe for ice creams and stuff. So that was a fun time. Now, you brought back those memories. It was very simple times, like training, going to school. What it also did was it really differentiated me in the school itself, because I was like bringing to the school some trophies, winning championships, and the name in the newspapers. So all the other kids really saw that.
Yeah.
And it was a good feeling to be a sports person. And along with that, because I was always got into sports early on, then I was also on the school cricket team. I was on the school table tennis team. Anything, I was always really good with hand sports.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's this kind of journey of squash back in the day.
And then how did the squash journey sort of come to an end, I guess, and then kind of transition into like the fitness? Because you obviously then started training people to become healthy and fitter, because you had gone through the path of becoming an athlete, now getting, strict with your discipline, running, eating, performing. And what change came about to be, instead of focusing on yourself, taking it to the next level, and you're like, okay, you know what, I'm going to help people to actually start changing their life, because you're huge on that now too. Even now with SwoleFoods, your business, you care about people to be able to start this healthy eating business. Whereas nowadays, anything that you do that's we've had many conversations like this, like instead of like the easy way out would be just to start a junk food, fast food or anything like that. But you care so much about fitness or anything like that, to start anything like that. What got you into wanting to help people now to get fit and to do that? Was it the money side of it? Is the money good in India? Like, what was that?
No, man. So, when I turned 16, 17, I started training with at the gym. And then there was a gym coach, Sam, who was the trainer at the gym. And the gym was also as a part of the whole complex. Like in the same club, there was a gym there. And so I went to the gym and I started lifting some weights and asking him for advice. And then he just told me, he's like, Taran, I think you have a lot of potential, because every technique I'm teaching you, you're picking it up really quickly. And he just told me, just eat, just eat. So I just told my mom, he gave me like a rough diet, how many eggs and how many rotis and things like that. There was no supplementation, back in the day.
You were never vegetarian in your life, were you? Or you just always eating meat?
I turned vegetarian for a little while, but that was way down the road.
Okay.
But back then, my mom was a great cook, so we used to always eat non-vegetarian.
Yeah.
But there was no concept of calories in and all that. It was just eat. And when you're that young, your body is like a blast furnace. It's just burning, and you're training so much. And then what all changed for me was I saw Rocky, man, Sylvester Stallone. That movie Rocky, and I saw that guy's physique, and that was it. It's just, that guy was my first like role model. I saw Rocky 4 when he's fighting that Russian. Bro, I went back to my coach and I said, how do I get in this kind of shape? Like, how do I become, conditioned and stuff? And then he showed me like, how do you do training? How do you do cardio, like for fat loss and stuff? So it was like an addiction when I started lifting weights. And again, I just became different to my friend circle. All my friend circle were, when you're in college, like 17, 18,
partying,
drinking, going out, they're all living on sodas. And, back in India at that time, like McDonald's has just arrived and Pizza Hut has just arrived to India. Coca-Cola was there. But so my whole mindset shifted. I was not going there. I was not eating all that. I was sometimes waking up at 3:34 in the morning because Rocky was waking up at 4 and going for runs. And
so you kind of used that as a blueprint to give you the motivation and boost to get going. And then obviously your coach helped you with the diet side of things.
100%.
Your coach helped you.
He was my first kind of coach, mentor in the gym. And he also felt really great because I was like his sales tool, because he was training me and I was seeing results. So he used to use me as an example to get other clients. And and that was really how my love affair with fitness and gym began. And but I always appreciated the mindset part of it because it was me versus me. I had to put the work in order to get the result. No one else could do it for me. So there was the driving factor was always internal. And I never, even back in the day, like I never flaunted the physique. I was always covered up. Like it was never for me to do it for what someone else would think or say.
Yeah.
It was more for, it's a fight within myself. Can I push it to that level? You know,
Yeah.
that's it. Can I be disciplined? Like when my friends are calling me out, like there were times, you know, I used to be running at 3:30, 4 in the morning, and my friends would be coming home from a late night.
Yeah.
And
Out
they used to
partying,
honk
yeah.
at me, and they used to like all, you know, like call me names, and they used to think I'm crazy. And in my mind, I used to think they're crazy. You know? And so, that whole gym thing became such an addiction. Like I was, you know, buying magazines of you know, the muscle and fitness from like old
Iron Man.
They, you know, in India there's these they call them like, I don't even know what they call them in English, which is like where they're just getting rid of old paper.
Yeah.
And you go there and you buy
Like
recycling magazines and stuff. And I used to go there and sift through all these bodybuilding magazines and buy them and read about, you know, Jay Cutler and all that back in the day.
You said you rated Sylvester Stallone, but what about Arnold? Was Arnold never one of your, like, you thought because he was like back then he still would have been very relevant in terms of like bodybuilding and the movie industry and stuff like that. What did you rate him? Because
to be honest, for me, it was not even so much Sylvester. I think for me, what changed was actually the movie Rocky. That story of that character, you know, who had nothing, like he got one chance and he pursued that, you know, and then he was kind of against all odds. That whole underdog story, you know.
Apparently, you know, he's written that himself.
Yeah, I heard about now. Yeah, now I kind of
Sylvester wrote it himself, kind of like reflecting how his life was, and I think like he also came from nothing, right? He had nothing, and then he got that gig in the movies, and that's how he made it. So I guess that movie like really well reflects, and for the young people out there, that if you don't know what Rocky is, because it is a movie from a blast from the past, you definitely should go watch that. For the people that are obviously hearing the audio version of this on Apple Podcasts, Podbean, and other streaming platforms of podcasts, definitely go check out Rocky. Sylvester Stallone, I think there's like 4 parts of it.
Oh, I think there's 6 or 7
parts of it.
Yeah, Rocky, you know, he came back after so many years and stuff, but just watch from number 1.
1 to which ones would you recommend?
1 to 4, I think. Those are like the ultimate.
1 to 4, Rocky. It's a boxing movie. I think you guys will really, really enjoy it. And it's like, that was the thing that boosted Taran. And same, I had the same feeling as well when I watched Rocky, the movie. And I recommend any young person to go check it out. So then when you were in Mumbai, now you got to know about fitness, you're training, you're bringing your coach clients. When did you want to make the switch to now start doing it yourself? And how old were you by this time when you got to this part of your journey?
So I was, you know, the thing that happened for me was I loved this so much that I wanted to understand if I could earn a living from this industry. Yeah, I didn't know exactly what pathway, because what happened was as I was getting in shape, my friends mothers used to tell me, "Hey, Taran, can you help my friend, my son get in shape?" And so I started helping these guys with exercises. Everyone used to come to me. You know, I became like the go-to guy in my friend circle to understand about exercising, training, and all of that. And so I just thought maybe I can earn a living out of this, or not even earn a living. I just thought I'll make some money to buy things. You know, like.
And how old were you? Like what?
19. I was 18, 19. Yeah.
18, 19.
And because my physique transformed in months, like 6 to 10 months, I really got into. You know, I was not bodybuilder, but I was in shape. Like I was defined.
You could tell that this person's fit and lifts, obviously.
Yeah, and I was very, very fit, like physically, because of squash training. I had stamina, and you know. So once I started gymming and stuff, then I kind of my squash, because also squash for me at that time didn't have a lot of future, because you know it was very kind of rudimentary in India. They weren't like sponsoring athletes to go live overseas, play overseas. So I decided to leave it. I used to play more recreationally, but as I got bigger and fitter and stuff like that, it became harder to play squash. So that kind of left me. And so I told my dad, I said, look, I want to my dad had obviously had a business, and in India the kind of tradition is that the son follows the father's footsteps and goes into business. And so when I told him that I want to step outside your business and do my own thing, he kind of said, okay, I'll give you 6 months. If you can prove yourself, earn some money, then you can, stand on your own feet. Then and I was 19,
and you had 6 months. What was the KPIs that he set you? Like, this is what
he said, if you can just meet your own expenses.
Yeah.
Because I was an expensive member of the family because of the gym, right? All chicken,
the protein.
Eggs. Yeah, exactly. And back then, like by EAS, like the Myoplex supplements and all that had arrived, those meal replacement shakes. So they were expensive, but I wanted them because I was seeing them in all the magazines and stuff.
Good marketing for them back then, in the magazines.
Oh yeah,
it would just sell you it like that. I remember
because there was no other channel, right?
Yeah.
And so I didn't know how to start training. So my mom gave me an idea. She said, why don't you just start with your friends and just train them for free and get them some results, and then other people will ask you, So I just followed her advice, and what I did was I bought, like, you get these packs of plain white t-shirts, So I bought plain white t-shirts. I told my friends, I'll train you guys for free, but you have to wear this t-shirt. And like with felt pen, I wrote my name and I said, like, trainer. And I gave it to these guys.
You hand wrote each one of the t-shirts.
On the t-shirt, my name and trainer. And the trade-off was I'll train them in the busy period of the gym, so between 5 and 8 in the evening. And they have to wear that t-shirt while I'm training them. And yeah, it was true. Like, people started seeing results. I was just kicking their ass, bro. Like, I was training all these guys so hard, and then other people started looking, and they slowly, like, I remember really clearly that the first time one guy, he came and asked me, hey, Taran, can you help me? He's like, I'm getting married and I want to lose some weight. And I said, of course I can help you. So he's like, how much do you charge? And I had no idea, like the other trainers.
Price to say?
Yeah. The other trainers back in the day, their monthly rate was like 1,500 rupees, which is like $30 now. But I'm talking like
back then.
way back. So he's like, how much do you charge? And I just blurted out 8,000 rupees. I just told him to his face, 8,000 rupees. And he looked shocked.
Yeah.
Because other trainers were like 1,500, $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
And I said 8,000. And then the next words that came out of his mouth was, can I pay you cash? And I was like, of course you can. So he's like,
so how long was it until your dad gave you this challenge? You have 6 months?
Oh, it was like a few weeks.
Few weeks in?
Yeah, a few weeks in.
And you 8,000 rupees?
Straight up, And the next morning I said, we'll meet here at 7:30 in the gym. And he brought 8,000 rupees cash. And that was the first time in my life as a guy, I earned some money. And I started training him 3 days a week. And from there, other people started looking and other people started joining. And it just grew from that. So I started also training people. There was some... Because at that time, like, wealthy people could afford that kind of money. So I used to go to people's houses, and they, even without equipment, I used to train them in the buildings, like push-ups, running up and down the steps, lunges, all that. And, like, if you get someone who hasn't done a lot of activity, if you start getting them to burn calories,
they're going to get some results.
They start losing. At that time, people just wanted to lose weight.
That's it.
There was nothing about muscle or anything like that. And that's the easiest thing to do, like just... make them burn calories. And so I took like every month I used to start contributing to the house. And my mom and dad, they were so happy. Like, I used to go give everything to my mom. For me. And then I used to ask her for my pocket money. Like, this, I'm going somewhere, I need some money. And dad was confident. He said, okay, you can do what you want. And, then there was a couple of other trainers that saw what I was doing, and they were also just starting their careers. So at that time in India, there was a whole phase of this personal training picking up. And I was
What year was that?
I was maybe 1999, 2000.
99,
there was this whole movement of gyms opening and
the
Nike coming into India.
Era.
Yeah, but not even so much that. It was just all these brands coming in, like... gyms,
fitness started becoming a thing
important
then, right?
All the TV, like on TV there was some exercise programs and stuff, so people were becoming more aware. And yeah, that's how my career started. I then decided to, when I went to Australia and to Perth, and there's a fitness academy there called Renoff Fitness Academy.
So this is from India to Australia.
Yeah,
now.
I went there and got a certification.
Yeah.
As a personal trainer, and that, because I said, how do I validate myself? Like, how do I sell? Like and to say like certified personal, because again in the magazines I used to always read certified trainer, certified this. ISSA was like a big organization in the US. So yeah, when I came back from Australia, that's when it became quite busy for me, because then it was like I put like a little poster on the wall. Certified personal trainer from Australia. These are programs I started doing, like Fat Blast, bigger arms and things like that. So I had clients like younger kids, older women, everybody, and I like at one point I was earning like 2 lakh rupees a month.
And this is back then.
Yeah, cash. And it was surreal for me, because
so just so you guys get a context that's watching and listening, 2 lakhs a month. 1 lakh is about 2,200 NZD. 1 lakh is about 1 lakh.
Yeah.
1 lakh is about 2,200 NZD. So 2 lakhs a month will be about 4,400 NZD back then. 2000
and cash.
2001 and that era, right?
Yeah. So it was great because I was earning money and. Life was, I was the bank when all my friends and I went out. I was the wallet.
Yeah.
We went out for dinner or lunch or something. Everyone used to like look at me when the bill came. And I enjoyed it. I used to treat people and stuff, and that's how I started my career. And then at that time, like then my father decided to sell off his business if I was not going to do it. I proved to him that I can kind of pursue my own career. And so he wanted to kind of semi-retire.
Yeah.
And that's when he decided to pack up his business and sell it and then move away from India, because he had some friends who were living in New Zealand already. And so he decided to apply to come to New Zealand. And that's how we ended up here, the whole family. And it was hard for me at that time because I had
built
a good
everything
thing going.
Over there. So almost like you started and you had built up all this things that was happening for you now. Then you kind of had to leave
it.
Did it cross your mind to maybe you should stay back?
No, actually, I was just open, man.
Yeah.
I was open. I was like, I had enough self-belief that I could go somewhere and do something and figure things out.
Start again if you had to.
Being with the family was, for us, that was always the strongest roots. So if they decided to go, I'm not going to stay back, And in fact, it was a good thing because, it was quite, for him, it became quite hard to not be working.
Yeah.
And you worked your whole life, we decided to come here and it was not even like we did a slow jump. He just said one day we just packed up and the whole family got on a plane and we left.
So how much notice did you have from the time? It's like, okay, maybe we should.
Oh, we knew it because the whole residency took like months,
But then all of a sudden it becomes like a reality now. Now you're moving.
Selling things at home and, I had to sell my car,
Yeah. What did you drive back then?
Oh, it was like a Maruti Esteem.
Yeah. And I mean, to have a car even then, like if you owned a car.
Yeah. Like, again, like I was the kid, man. Like I was the guy, like all my friends, if they wanted to take their girlfriends out on dates, I used to take my car, like that kind of thing. It was a strange time because we all just came to this place, foreign place. But we knew people here. So it wasn't like we just packed up and came.
You had family here already? Or?
Not family. We just knew
friends.
Family friends.
Friends, yeah.
And I actually had a very good friend of mine who was my schoolmate. His family had already moved here a few years prior. So he was the happiest person in New Zealand when he found out that I'm coming. And he really helped me, understand a lot. Like when we moved here, in fact, even when we first moved here, we stayed in someone else's house for a few months to find our feet and all of that. And once we settled in after like 2-3 months, when we realized that we got to start looking for jobs and stuff, I got a job. The first job I went for, I actually went to Club Physical in New Lynn to do a trial. And the day I went in to do a trial gym session, they back in the day, they used to have recruitment days where they were recruiting, because Club Physical had like 12, 13 gyms. They were the biggest franchise.
Back then, yeah.
Back then.
Yeah.
And I just said, what's going on here? And they said, oh, we are recruiting. I said, I'm a trainer. And they said, oh, yeah, you want to go in for an interview? Bro, I went in for a trial gym session, walked out with a job.
Yeah.
They offered me a job. And they said, can you start from next week? And so I started working. And I was so shocked because the trainers in that gym, they were so lazy because they had a base pay, right? And then any session that they did, they got
was
paid
a bonus,
above
like
that.
sort of a bonus, yeah.
So they were so comfortable with that base pay, because in New Zealand, trainers were like looked up to, like if you're a trainer, you're helping me. Versus in India, they were looked down upon. There was nothing. We were like starting something there. So I was because I never had any base in India. I used to like sell, right?
Yeah.
Like, do a free session with me, kick your ass, sell you, a 3-month plan. And so I was creaming it. Like these guys was not interested in helping people. I just told the manager, I said, tell me which people have got their inductions done. So they used to have these free inductions. And every week, these people used to do free induction, no matter which trainer they did it with. I used to go after that and I used to say, hey, do you mind? I'll do a free session with you. And I started getting bookings, man. I used to get clients wanting to pay for sessions. That's how I built my client base, and I started my personal training career in New Zealand.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. Like I can so relate to your early teen part of your life as well, and leading into fitness. I was exactly the same. I was into sports, cricket. I played cricket as well because, excuse me, Australia, one of the main sports is cricket. In India, obviously, cricket's way bigger than it is. And the same thing, sports actually, I think a lot of kids these days undermine how much discipline, work ethic, teamwork it actually teaches you. And I think for both of us, the reason why we're even driven now and later on in our adulthood and lives right now is, I guess, because the foundation was laid strong. And for both of us, I guess it started with sport. And what would you say, like parents or kids nowadays? Because I think the sporting culture nowadays is missing out of the youth.
Yeah.
I don't think they give it as much importance, and mainly because they're born in a different era. Technology has changed a lot of things. But I think sports really helped me to become the person I am today. Would you agree it's the same for you?
100%. There's no doubt about that. Like, I would also take it a bit further, and I would say that it's not sports. Like, it's good to play sports.
Yes.
But it's good to have one sport that you are following, that you're pursuing to become better at.
Yeah.
Because, you might be, playing seasonally, like I play football in the summer, I play this, I play that. But that's more, I would say, you're doing it for the sake of activity.
Yeah.
But when you're trying to become a champion in something, when you're trying to excel in something, that requires a different a level of like discipline and kind of, I guess, habit, right? You have to change. So I would say sports definitely help to, it's also just de-stressing for the mind and all that kind of stuff, good for the body. But I think in both our cases, it's about pursuing one, like channeling into one direction.
Yeah.
And then your life kind of, you mold it to that pursuit of one, excellence in one thing.
Yeah.
And I guess later down in your career, it was obviously your physique competitions as well. So I think that is really what I say would differentiate someone who plays sports and someone who is an athlete. Like, yeah.
So if you had to give like a teenager, say 18-year-old, 17, 16-year-old advice, and you could summarize it for them to what they should focus on based on your experience, that could help them not be life-changing, but that could like help them put a thought in their mind to maybe, what would you advise them? Like if you had to say to a 15, 16 or a 17-year-old, like what is one piece of advice that you'd give them like early on in life? I was going to say career, but they don't have a career that early.
I think 15, 16 is kind of, I would say it's already on the latter years of when you should start playing sport. If you're 16, 17, to start something is usually harder.
Yeah.
but it's not impossible. It's been definitely you can do it, but maybe the kind of sports you can choose at that time start becoming limited, because your body, if you're an athlete at a younger age, your body develops to your sport as well. That's why you see like swimmers, their body becomes something else when they're a swimmer from an early age. Basketball, same thing, rugby players, same thing. So I would say if you're at that age when you're mid-teens, start, something that maybe even something that you enjoy watching on TV. That could be something that you can, a sport that you can go and maybe join a team or join a club. Start off with it recreationally. Start, blocking out like a day or two or whenever that evening that you have to go and show up for that. And then just show up, and do it for the sake of enjoyment first, without any pressure.
Yeah,
that's what I would say. And then, because it's like you do it to play rather than to compete at the beginning, to have fun. And as you get better, as you get enjoyment out of it, then even competing becomes a joy.
Yeah.
A lot of times, the counter is also true. Like sometimes, and in my case, I've seen parents as well, like sometimes it's the parents who put a lot of pressure on the kid, and that can backfire in many cases as well. Like
pressure on the kid as in like to study, to study or to play the sport, like be competitive.
In both, right? Like in studies as well, but also in sport, like the parents are the one who want to make their kid really become something.
Yeah.
And I think that's just, of course you have to guide them and things like that, but there's also, maybe you could push it too far,
But I think in your case also, like your dad took you to, like he wasn't obviously a squash player, was he?
No,
he wasn't.
No.
So he obviously took you and left you with somebody that he trusted and obviously saw that could give you the results, right? Whereas I feel maybe nowadays, because like of technology, kids are too used to given a smartphone or iPad or a tablet or something, and that's it. Growing up, they don't really have that.
Yeah.
It's like technology nowadays, I feel, to parenting, that, but back then there was no such a thing. So I guess your dad did the right thing taking you there. So I guess like, what if you're a kid and all you've known is a smart device, and now you're listening to this podcast, and they're obviously now coming to the teenage life, we're starting to think about the career, what am I going to do after high school, what am I going to study, how can I make more money, and they're coming across this podcast. What would you say for them, like now at 15, 16 is the best thing to do? So play a little bit of sport, go there for the fun of it, and then start to get competitive. And then what's next for them?
I think, I mean, look, it's a question that, it's very, it's a subjective answer, right? Because it depends on the kid, what they enjoy doing, and how far they're willing to push themselves as well, what skill levels they have, all these kind of things. So I think what I was saying earlier is like, just join a team, join some recreational club, join a tennis school or
whatever of your interest.
Anything that you, like I said, if you enjoy watching it on TV, you think that's fun, or you look up to some athletes in certain sports, maybe follow that path.
100%. Yeah, I agree with that advice.
And then just, it's about discipline to keep showing up. Because you cannot excel in sports as a ad hoc showing up. You have to be disciplined. Like it's a repetition. You have to keep doing it. And in that case also, like I think, coming back to what the industry I finally ended up my whole career working in is health and fitness.
Yeah.
That's a really good channel as well. Where you can, there's ample opportunities to join gyms and things like that. So maybe that's a good diversion. If you're not really maybe athletically focused or driven,
you don't have the coordination.
You don't have the the opportunity to go and join a team or anything like that, or you feel like maybe you're a bit shy and you don't want to show up as a newbie in a team of people who are really playing for a long time, then the gym is a great place, because it's, you just show up and it's, all gyms will accept you.
Yeah.
And that's a good way to start channeling your energy. That's a good way to start maybe challenging yourself as well. Because with sport, with gym, I think it's the mind first and then the physical follows. You have to have the mindset for this. You gotta be willing to do it willing to put the work in. So if someone was to ask me what they should do, I said if they're sports inclined, then that's what I would say. Like find something that you enjoy or someone you look up to, and then if you have the chance to get into a team or do it recreationally, then do that.
Mm-hmm.
If that's not the case, then gym, definitely. Again, with gym, do it for your own well-being. Don't do it to look a certain way or just because you're going to get likes on Instagram and all that. Do it inside out. That's something I really believe in as well.
And obviously any good thing takes time. And I think a lot of the thing with the culture today is people are too used to swiping, liking,
instant
adding.
gratification.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think that's what makes it a lot difficult for younger people these days.
Yeah.
I think joining a gym, anybody at any age should join a gym. Because if you're not playing, like later on in your life, you're probably not playing sport competitively anymore. I think everybody should have a gym membership that, it's de-stressing is one thing. And plus you're working on your health, which is for not only for yourself, for your family as well.
Yeah.
And also it helps you with day-to-day life, right? Your energy levels, your focus. You feel a different way when you do some sort of physical activity. And I don't mean just by going for walks once a week or something. Like you have a proper plan that you go to the gym, you work out for 3 days a week, even if it is, and you get physically active. And gym is a great place to be. You'll get accepted at most gyms.
Yeah.
It's widely accessible and available now, which so many different brands and chains now available. There's a new one that opened in Manukau. I don't know what's it called. I forgot, but it's like a superhero one anyway.
It's all the time, man.
That one, yes.
That's
Fitness Cartel.
Yeah, that's owned by Leo.
Yes, the Duval and
Flex
Fitness. Yeah, so then that brings me to the other part of then you obviously you came to New Zealand. You got into the fitness scene over here. Then you got a good job opportunity in Melbourne, right? Then you took off
Sydney,
yeah, Sydney, and then you took off there for a few years.
Yeah.
Which you crushed it over there. So tell me a little bit about your Sydney experience of how you became the top guy over there in the sales job, which you already started selling ever since you were a teenager. And then obviously now using all the experience, people, human interaction, now you end up in Sydney taking this job opportunity and then you're crushing it over there.
Yeah, so Sydney was, again, a fascinating life journey and a turn of events because when I was in New Zealand in about 2007, I wanted to do further studies.
Yeah.
So I decided to get a master's degree in business. So I did an MBA in international business and sports management.
So that's 3 years? Yeah.
No, I did it in 2. So
2?
I did full time, yeah.
Okay.
Two classes a day, morning and evening.
Yeah.
And I did it at AUT. And at the end of that degree, I decided to go to Sydney because a very good friend of mine was living there. So I wanted to go on a 2-week holiday. And I went and stayed with him. And while I was over there, so I was also open to the idea of moving there for a job and working there for a little while. I wanted to get some experience because in New Zealand, I had kind of worked in multiple other gyms already. And, I had, I just wanted a change in life. And he said, come to me. And so I was living with him. I was there for a holiday with one little backpack. And I went
ended up being longer.
Yeah, I went to Virgin Active. And that was the first time I saw a gym like Virgin Active. It's like a little mini city,
Yeah.
Massive gym. And the guy who was giving me a tour of the facility, we started talking a lot, and he was a great guy and showed me all the different machines and the sections. And then he just, because I told him that I'm also, because when I was talking to him about the different equipment and stuff, he understood that I'm not just a normal person coming to join, that I have history in fitness. So he asked me, he's like, what have you, what do you do? How do you know all this information? So I told him I've been a trainer and stuff. And then he said, oh, you should work here. So I said, man, I would love to work here. And then he went, called the sales manager. The guy's name was Duncan. And he became one of my best friends down the road. But he came up, spoke to me. He's like, oh, you want to come in for an interview tomorrow? So I said, yeah, 100%. He said, well, I've got my national sales manager here tomorrow. So I sat down with him for about half an hour. He had a chat to me and he said, look, we can't bring you on as a personal trainer, but if you want to come on as a membership consultant, then we've got openings there. It's pretty much the same thing. You're still doing needs analysis for people who want to join the gym, but you're not selling them training, you're actually selling them the membership. I said, okay, I don't mind. And so I went and I told my friend, I said, bro, I've got a job interview tomorrow. And he's like, what? How do you do that? And I said, Virgin Active. And he said, man, that's one of the premium gyms. And I said, yeah, but it's quite formal, so I need to go buy a suit or something. And so we went to Sydney and I bought a $60 suit, man.
Yes.
From Lowe's. And showed up the next day for an interview. The national manager, there was 7-8 people who were getting interviewed. So I was sitting there waiting for my turn and got an interview. So the guy showed us around. And then the interview was really a role play. So he turns the tables on you and he's like, okay, I'm here to join the gym. Like you show me now. So it was amazing because it came so naturally to me because I've done talking to people. So I just visualize him as someone I'm trying to sell personal training to. Started asking him the right questions, your goals and needs, like doing that. And took him around the gym and, I came back and, just sat across the table and I said, so when do you want to start? And then he's like, that's what got him because I asked the question. And he's like, nobody, like salespeople always stumble. They get nervous when it comes to asking for the money or the asking for the close, And for me, I just did it naturally because that was my, I always believe that if you're here in a gym, you've taken time, you've come here, it's no time to waste now. Like start,
and you've already listened to me for
45 minutes or whatever. And there's no better time to start on your journey than today. Yesterday was better, but today is as good. And so they offered me the job. They said, you can start. I said, no, I can't because I have only one bag. I have to tell my parents, first of all, back in New Zealand, I'm not coming back. I said, I can't do that. So I have to go back and pack up. And they said, okay, we'll delay it I think they gave me 3 weeks. They said, you can go back and stuff. And so I called up my dad. I said, Dad, I've got a job. And they were quite taken aback because they didn't expect that I was going to leave them and go and work there.
Yeah.
But then they were supportive, they believed that it was like Richard Branson's brand and all that. And I told them the job and the salary and everything. And it was good. I came back to New Zealand, packed up everything, went back. I was living with my friend. It was a 1.5 hour journey every morning from where I was living to go to work. And then 1.5 hours back at night. 2 buses and 1 train I used to take. But I was always first in, last out, because I had to prove myself.
And you had to show them that you can do it.
Yeah, and so it was really amazing because the guy who was training me in sales, he was a top-ranked sales trainer in Australia.
Yeah,
the national sales manager. And so you go through a whole induction for a week of training before you start getting on the floor to start making calls and stuff. They train you on the Virgin Active way, and the culture team comes and the customer service team comes, the marketing team comes. And so that completely changed my mindset on how an organization of that size talks to its customer.
Yeah.
And how they are built on customer value. And that was the biggest point of difference with Virgin Active was no contracts. So they said the way we can have a no contract gym is by value added service.
And
like you have to give the service so that people want to stay with you rather than locking people into a contract.
So out of those 8 people you said that went on to the interview?
Yeah, 3, they were hiring 3 people.
And you were one of them?
I was one of them.
You're one of them, yeah.
And and then you go through a curve in sales. It's like the first time I sold the gym to this guy, it was because I didn't know what I didn't know. So in any sort of format of learning, you go through this kind of a graph, which is at the start, you're like, I don't know what I don't know. So anything I do is working or not working, right? But I don't have the awareness of that.
Yes.
Then you get trained a system. You get taught a system. Then you realize that now I know what I don't know.
Yeah.
Right? Now, then your sales, your performance crashes because now you're trying to follow a system.
Yes.
You're not natural anymore.
You're starting to stay along that line that they've showed you.
Correct.
And yeah.
So now it's like, now first you don't know what you don't know. Now you know what you don't know. Then you learn, you practice. Then you know what you know.
Yeah.
Right. Then you start, your sales start picking up again, but you're still kind of following a pattern. And then it becomes natural. And then you're flying because now it's inbuilt in you now. The system, then you make it your own and you're no longer selling. Now you're just having conversations.
Yeah.
So that graph for me was to even become aware of that journey that someone goes through is, that really opened my whole mindset up on training and culture and all that. And then, man, I started smashing numbers, smashing numbers.
Just interesting how you say that part. Like you don't know what you know at the start, right? Because what their way of doing it, the way they want you to do it, a company or any sort of, they will teach you how to do it, right? When you learn that, and I think a lot of people fail over here, it's not sticking by that in every situation and scenario.
Yeah.
You still have to put your own touch
Yeah.
to the selling or whatever process. It doesn't even have to be selling.
No.
Doing any sort of job or any sort of work or any sort of project.
Yeah.
You do what you're supposed to do, but you still have to add your own flair to it to get the success that you need to get. And I think that's where people like yourself that's obviously been successful at doing that, learn that. How you said you go through a learning curve.
Yeah.
So you have to do what you have to do, but you have to also add what you do differently.
That's right.
Yeah.
And like I said, once you know the pattern and the little nuances of, the system, then you can manipulate it. You can first you're following a script, then you become the script. Then the script is, then I even came to a point where I was then training people on my way down the road.
Yes.
So because my system became better and more natural. So I was training the trainers basically at some point down the road.
So then how long did it take you over there to become like number one?
And that was another amazing, again, I guess it was just me thinking outside the box at the time where when I went in, the gym already had like 4,500 members.
Yeah.
So they used to get leads all the day, but there was 8 sales reps. So the leads used to go in like a carousel format. The first lead of the day goes to the first guy, second guy, third guy. So you have only 1 in 8 chances of getting a lead. And then you have to follow that lead, call them in, sign them up and all that kind of stuff. So I was in one of the, because I was new there, I was sent to all the different meetings of all the teams because they had to teach me on how the personal training department works, how the customer service department works, how the reception department works. So when I went to the customer service department, there was a lot of talk happening on people who are canceling their memberships. Like every day they were getting cancellations. So a gym works on net sales, right? Net members. So you have 10 people who joined today, 5 people have canceled, 5 is your net of the day. So it doesn't matter how many members you have on the books, it's how many people are netting, like, how many people at the end of the month. So I kept hearing these, we have so many cancellations today, we have so many, cancellations this week, this month. So I went back to my manager and I asked him, I said, how do I contact these people who've canceled, And he said, why do you want to do that? I said, I have no leads. I don't have a system. I don't have members. I don't have enough I haven't done enough tours here. I'm new. I don't have people to call. But these guys I can call, because they've been ex-members.
Yeah.
So he said, okay, I can get the admin girl to print out a list for you. Bro, she gave me a list that was so many pages because they've been going for so many years.
Yeah.
And they had hundreds of people who had cancelled. So I was like, I can't do that. Like I can't make so many phone calls. So what I asked the customer service person, I said, how can we email blast these people? So she said, that we can do. Just, copy paste the emails and blast them. So every day back then, I wasn't smart enough to plug everybody in.
Yeah.
So I used to take 10 email addresses and send them individual emails. Yeah. But I created this rejoiner email. I went to my manager. I said, can we offer them a deal? So they said, we'll offer them no joining fee and a kickstart personal training package valued at $99 for free. So it was almost, the joining fee was $150
Yeah.
plus $99. So $250 worth of value for free. And then you just come and rejoin because you've already paid that joining fee once, right?
Yeah.
If you're a rejoiner. And I started sending these emails out. And it took like a week, 10 days. Started getting replies, keen to join. And I made it really nice, like, hey, we've been thinking about you. How are you doing on your fitness journey? Hope things have been well. We're just here. Just wanted to let you know that, we are offering you this rejoining deal. If you're interested, come back, email me back, and so on. I started getting these emails, and my phone started going off. And when
Because it was your number on the email.
it was my number, my direct line on the email.
Yeah.
And that phone system had the color. If it was a general line calling, it used to blink red, and if it was a direct line calling, it used to blink blue.
Yeah.
So every time when it was blinking blue, I knew they rang me directly. And the phone started ringing saying, hey, is this Taz? And I got the name Taz in Australia. Those boys started calling me Taz. And I said, yes. He's like, I got your email, keen to join. When can I come in? And so I started making these bookings of people coming in to sign up. And I didn't have to do any tour because they've been in the gym.
Yeah.
And I just started getting sales daily. Like I didn't need leads. It was just coming to me now.
Yeah.
And all my other 7 guys, they hated me. So they actually, sales is shark.
100%, man.
It was, and this new kid, Indian as well.
Yeah.
And everyone else is Australian.
Yeah, we've learned that the hard way, haven't we, Nathan?
Yeah.
Sales is so sharky, especially being in real estate too, man. Anyways, and then now you're at the top of your game out of the 7 people.
Yeah. And then it was magic.
Were you the only brown kid on the team?
On the team, man.
Wow.
And they, it was really good, man. It was a good time. I was really enjoying it. I was staying late. I was breaking barriers. Like I was setting records. They were never seen. Like they had not seen the numbers. That it was almost a time where 4 or 5 people were doing certain numbers, and I was doing a combination of 4 or 5 sales
equivalent alone.
Yeah. And even to a point, I remember one day, it's just coming back, is that because the sales manager gets commission based on the team's performance. So I had already done my numbers for the month.
Yeah.
I was chilling, last 3-4 days to go. And my sales manager came to me and he's like, Taz, look, I really need X number of sales. I don't remember how many they were, but to hit my commission.
Yeah.
He's like, can you help?
Yeah.
I said, of course, man, no worries. So I started digging through my leads because, when you go through when you hit your target, you don't want to burn those leads for this month.
Yeah, because you got to meet the target again next month.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was saving those calls for next month. So I started ringing. 2 days, got the number that he wanted. He got his commission. Then he took me out for drinks with his partner and stuff like that because I helped him hit his number.
Yeah.
And then we became really good friends after that. But yeah, it was so much fun. It was young guys. It was a party, man. Like end of the month, we were crushing numbers, going out, Bondi Junction, Manly, just killing it. I was living alone, making good money, and in Sydney, it was good times. And then once the second, they handpicked me to open the Sydney Pitt Street gym. They took me out from the French's Forest gym, put me in Pitt Street. Again, I was number 1 over there. Then they moved me to the 3rd gym as a sales manager. And we broke the record for opening sales in any gym, Virgin Active. It was really, really experience of a lifetime. It put all the fundamentals in me on business. Because when I went into management and stuff, I was very much into the higher management meetings.
Yeah.
So I was understanding how the marketing director of Virgin Active thinks, how the customer service director of Virgin Active thinks. And they were sharing all that, right? So I was just absorbing all this. I didn't have any idea that it would help me 10 years later.
Now.
But I was just like a sponge,
Yeah, and that's the thing, I guess a lot of people don't. Sometimes in life, when you're doing some things and you're doing it in the now, it's very easy to start falling into a mindset of, there's 2 ways it can go for people a lot of the time. One of the things is that they'll think, oh, this is a waste of my time. Like, this is too high level. I don't know what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
I don't belong in this room. This is no way going to benefit me. Or the other thing is what you did. It's like you were there. You were going to be there anyway. So you made the most of it. And you absorbed all that. Now, 10 years down the track, in your business, SwoleFoods and the gym that you own, it helps you big time.
Yeah, man. And, you just have to trust that life puts you in certain places at certain times, and it's not always for your own like you might not understand it
Then and there.
then and there, but you got to trust it. And also, I guess most of us in life, if you look back at certain events or certain times or certain relationships or any kind of experience, it may have been good, bad, or ugly at that time, but fast forward 5 years later or 3 years later or 10 years later, you can look back and say that thing changed me, or that experience, I'm so grateful for that,
And that's the reason I am where I am today.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It forms you, right? So there's an element of trust, and also, just being appreciative of the present moment as well.
Yeah.
Like that's really, really important, I think, And anyway, like I guess my upbringing and all that was, I was never a planner. Like I never planned my next 5 years. Like I could never answer that question,
Yeah.
What's your next 5-year plan and all that? I no idea. I don't know the next 15 minutes, So yeah, it's impossible to think like that. So yeah, it was Australia, Virgin Active. I made some very, very amazing friendships, relationships who I mean everything to me even now, very close to many people there. And it was just a life-changing time for me.
And then once you crushed it over there, you sort of was unplanned to move back again, right?
Yeah.
So when you had to come back.
Yeah. So I can touch a little bit on that.
Yeah.
Again, I was very happy there with the life, and actually Virgin Active had a career path drawn out for me
Already.
They said this is the stages, from gym manager to regional and all that kind of stuff. But then unfortunately, like in 2012, my dad fell quite ill, and it was December 2012, and my mom called me up one day. Actually, he got a stroke, and he was rushed to hospital here in New Zealand. And I got a call, and I didn't know what to do. I was panicking, and I called up my manager, the national sales guy. I said, "This is what's happened." He's like, "Stay where you are." He came, he drove, picked me up, took me to the airport, put me on a plane, sent me to New Zealand. And I came here, straight went to Middlemore. My dad was there. And I'd never seen him like that in my life. Anyway, he survived, brought him back home. And then my mom was like, I really need you to be here. I can't manage it myself. So then, I rang up Virgin Active. I said, this is the scenario. They said, no, we can't let you go. They said, you need to come back. They said, how much time do you need? I said, no idea, man. He said, take your time. And they were still paying me. They said, be there 4 weeks and we'll continue to pay you. And if you need an extension, let us know. But whenever you're ready, come back. And I for the first few weeks, I couldn't believe it. An organization would support that. But then when I saw what my mom and dad were going through, I was at the crossroads of my life, because here I had Australia, which was like a drawn out path and making money and friends and all that. And then here I had to come back here. Again, no idea what I was going to do in life, no income, nothing, but family. So I just decided that, look, if I made all this money and I got a career with them and God forbid something happened here, I would never forgive myself.
And be happy with it.
Be happy with it, because again, all of it means the material things in life don't mean as much as the family.
Yeah.
So I made the decision already, and then I rang them up and I told them, I said, look, I'm not coming back. And they couldn't believe it. They said that, because, I guess different mindsets as well. But I said, look, I'm happy to even pay you back what you guys have paid me while I was here. I don't want to break ties and things like that, and so, and even from here, I had to go back for a little while to wrap up my apartment and all that kind of stuff, sell all the furniture, and my friends helped me do all that anyway. So that was the end of Australia for me. I came back, and the whole of 2012, I was with my dad, really kind of, because he had a stroke, so he lost a lot of his balance mechanism, and I was actually helping him. I was teaching my dad on how to balance again, and even like throwing a ball and saying catch with the right hand and seeing it was a tough time. And then my mom was very happy because I was here. So, and again, just what I said a few minutes ago, that journey of my 1 year where I had no clue what my life was going to be. I was only given that time with my parents. And then in 2013, unfortunately, my dad passed away in January. And that was a big life-changing experience. But then 3 months later, then my mom passed away. And you know this, I've shared that with you in the past. So yeah, that was the biggest, I guess, turn of life that I could not have even imagined. And back then I'd already used up all my savings. So I was living here
for a year. You didn't work, right?
I didn't work. I was supporting the family with whatever money I had saved in Australia. I was spending, and I remember I had not much money in the bank. After my mom passed away, I kind of just was completely I was broken, because when my dad passed away, I was like the pillar for my mom and my sister, and then when she passed away 3 months later, I was broken. Then I was like far out. Like, what do I,
and at that point, you didn't have any family in New Zealand, did you?
My sister was here.
Oh,
just my sister. Here. Yeah, my sister was here. Just sister. And my sister's partner.
Apart from your sister, you had no
family. Yeah. So apart from my sister, then she has had a partner who is her husband now, and so his family completely took her in. Like, she suddenly had his mom, his brother, his sister, all of them were like cocoon her.
Yeah.
And I was left kind of alone in that respect. And I was just facing life, But again, I guess it wasn't something that I was. Of course, there was a lot of pain, but there wasn't anger or upset or anything, because fundamentally, even my parents had shown me and told me that everything's happening according to the supreme plan.
Yeah.
There's no mistakes and all that. But of course, there was a lot of pain, and I didn't know I didn't have any direction in life and stuff, and I just wanted to get away from New Zealand. So I decided to leave New Zealand, and I looked at the map and I was like, what's the farthest away I can get? And then I looked at, it was Europe and Portugal, and so I bought a one-way ticket, one backpack, and I went and I started living in this kind of spiritual community in Portugal.
Yeah.
And I was there for the next 2 years of my life. I was in and out, and I was really healing in this spiritual center, traveling around Europe a little bit, going back. And I couch surfed around Europe for the next 2 years, living with different families for free, going and getting involved in, I was living with, a whole family in Croatia and stuff like that. Don't speak the language, but I'm part of their life,
Yeah. So how many years did you do Europe for?
I was in and out 2 years almost, backpacking.
Yeah.
Because you can only be there for 3 months in your visa. Yeah. Then you have to go to a non-European nation.
Yeah.
Then you can go back after 3 months. So I was in and out.
Is it longer now, or is it still 3 months now? I think it may have changed. Anyways, but yeah, it's so you did that for whole 2 years.
Yeah, and then I traveled elsewhere as well, everywhere.
And what were you doing for work-wise in the 2 years? No work. Okay.
No work. So again, little bit prior to that, so my father had a furniture business here. So before I left and all that, I was able to sell off all his furniture. So I got some money. He had a lot of furniture that he used to be selling online, but also distributing to other furniture retailers. So I had some money saved up, but it wasn't by any means a lot.
Yes.
So my budget in Europe was €5 a day.
€5 a day.
€5 a day, because I was living for free in couch surfing in people's homes. So I could only go and live in people's homes. Worst case scenario was a hostel.
Yeah.
So even once in Barcelona, I slept on the main center on the bench one night, because I didn't have couch surfing, or I didn't want to spend money to go and stay. But that really changed my perspective on life, and I found something a lot more, I guess, found myself in a way, It was, because when everything you know in life gets taken away from you, but you don't know what you're relying on. You don't have any point of reference. It's like another power looks after you, and that's a power from within, from grace. Like it stabilizes you in another way.
Power from above.
Yeah, power from above, and you start looking at life in a very different way because you have no expectations anymore. You don't have any agenda. You have no reason to build a relationship with an outcome. You're just so in the moment, and you're just here and now.
And really makes you, I guess, I've never been in that situation, but I guess it would make you appreciate smaller things in life now, right? Like how is that when everything's taken away from you that mattered to you? Like, what is one thing that kept you going then, feeling positive? And what's one thing that said, okay, you know what, I'm going to do one better today?
I think for me, it was a little bit different, Irshad, because I went on this journey of self-discovery.
Yeah.
And everything that you identify with, every aspect of your life that you call mine, or every reference point is a reference point to an identity that you create.
Yeah.
Right? So when that identity is shattered, you don't know what you are anymore. Like Taran's story is, I can't relate to it anymore. So, but at the same time, you know that there's a presence still here, but it cannot connect to a story anymore. It's a storyless, you're just in the present moment. The past, the future, all of that, there's no reference.
Yeah.
So you come to realize that there is what you are is not this identity or this story or anything that you make belief in your own mind. The self and the consciousness and the awareness that is present here is beyond all of that. And everything else is secondary to that. So that journey of self-discovery is it's like you're walking through a machine that is peeling every layer of yourself off, all your identity, everything like that. So it's quite for the ego and the mind and the identity, it's an attack, because it's like, who am I? If I'm not this, I'm not my story, I'm not my dreams, I'm not my plans. What do I have? Nothing to hold on to. When you have nothing to hold on to, it's freedom. You're free. You have nothing to do, nowhere to go, no plans. There's so much freedom in that. And then out of that freedom comes joy and love and, like you said, you appreciate, but you don't appreciate, you appreciate being rather than becoming.
Becoming, yeah.
And that's what happened to me. Even like I said, I started living with all these people where I don't speak the language, I don't know them, but there's a bond that's being formed because of an energetic connection, and that can't be explained, because.
And you guys didn't even speak the same language.
In many cases, I didn't, or it was bare minimum English that they spoke, and it was an energetic exchange. It's you're vibrating at another frequency because you're vibrating beyond identity and need and ego. It's just pure love. It's like, I can't explain it. Maybe you kind of become empty of your own concepts. You suddenly have no. You have no, I can't say that this is what I am anymore, because it will change. It keeps changing.
Because what you might be then, you're not going to be that there. What you were before, you are not. Yeah. So I get the concept. I guess I get what you're trying to say. It's a hard thing, I guess, for a lot of people to wrap their head. Like, I've kind of pictured what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
But I guess for a lot of people that are too attached to things, that are too attached to their position, they're attached to their positions of things. It's very hard for them to remove themselves to have a look at it from this perspective, because they identified this specific position, thing, or whatever they have, right?
Yeah, one way to, even if you want to question it, is what is your truest concept of yourself? Because if you actually look at any concept you may have, it's something you have adapted. It's not your original concept.
Or been given.
And you've adapted it.
Yes.
You know, your identity, your plans, everything is secondary.
Yeah.
Because the person you are today, you were not 6 months ago. The beliefs, the ideas, the
goals,
yes, the character, the likes, the dislikes, all gone. Like the one who was 5 years ago, that version of you doesn't exist today.
Yeah.
You know, so if you understand that everything is momentary, so you don't get attached to any one idea of you. Like I can say anything today. Like I say, I love chocolate, you know. 6 months later, it might not be the same.
Yeah.
You know, so you kind of get rid of the idea of defining yourself, because it's like, it's true right now.
Yes.
But
it doesn't have to be always. Yeah.
You meet me, 6 months later, might not be true at all, you know. And that's true for all of us. So if any one of us wants to introspect on what I've kind of shared, it's like, try to find the person who you were 5 years ago. What were your beliefs? What were your visions? What were your dreams? What idea of your life you had? And then today, what is it? You know, how close or far away you are. But at that time, you still said, this is me.
Yeah.
This is who I am. This is what I believe. This is
what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And today, you're still saying, but everything is changed.
Everything's changed.
So you become free of your own concepts. You become free of your own attachments to these concepts.
Yeah.
And then life completely changes, man. All of us are training and designed to live life outside in.
Instead of inside out.
Yeah. When you recognize that in all cases, life is lived inside out, then you drop so. Imagine like thinking, like a good example, like you carrying all these concepts like of your dream, your identity. I have this pressure, I'm going to do this. And it's like carrying all these shopping bags of, transient things. And then suddenly you say, just drop it all. Now you're free. That's what happens. Like you give up all these concepts. And the meaning of things, you realize that things don't mean anything in themselves. The meaning is given by you. A relationship doesn't have the power by itself. You give it that power. A dream, a goal, a concept doesn't have a thought doesn't have a power by itself.
You give it that power.
You give it that power, right? Because the same thought that troubled you 2 weeks ago or 1 year ago or 3 years ago, you can rethink that thought now, bring it into your awareness, and it doesn't have the same power on you.
It doesn't impact you.
But 2 years ago, it consumed you.
Yeah.
So the thought is the same, but your attachment and your attention to that is now changed. So that's something that once you see that I am the first point of existence, like it's a very sweet dissolving of yourself, and it's like
and you feel free.
You are free.
Yeah.
The feeling, you just recognize that this is actually has been the case all along. We just don't
realize it.
Yeah. This is what our truth is. But we don't recognize, because every morning you wake up, when you go to bed at night, there is no you. Irshad can sit on the bed and lie down, but there is no Irshad when there's sleep happening. Then you wake up, it's like then you remind yourself, I have to do this.
Yeah.
Then you wear the Irshad uniform again.
Yeah.
And then Irshad goes out into the day and starts doing something.
And then all of those things now are existing again. They existed before.
That's right. So prior to that recognition, you are still here. That's what life showed me. That's the journey life took me on. And I guess because of the gravity and the seriousness of the experience of my parents passing away, I was so open to surrendering myself. Like I was like, I don't know what Taran is anymore. Who am I? I have no idea. Then that's the whole journey that took place,
And then after 2 years, you do that, you come back, and then you start a gym.
No.
No.
So I came back, and then I was trying to understand what I'm going to do in my life.
Yeah.
And back
and
then,
how long did that take you? From the time you got back?
2015, 2016, I ended up kind of moving back because I met Ksenia, who's obviously now my wife. When I met her, I was still traveling. So when we met, the first thing I told her, I said, look, I'm a traveler. I don't have any aims. I've got nothing in life to offer you.
Imagine saying that.
Yeah, imagine.
To a person you'd be
so
like,
I was like,
yeah,
testing her straight up. And I said, if you want to have fun, if you want to like chill out, hang out, I don't know, it's good, And she was also very she was happy. She wasn't like, she didn't have a lot of pressure and stuff. So we just started hanging out. And before that, like I had a Nokia kind of a phone.
Yeah.
Bro, that phone wouldn't ring for months. Like my sister would ring me randomly after 3 months. Which country are you in?
Yeah.
I had no one to text.
Yeah.
I had no one to call. My phone wasn't ringing. I didn't have an email. I didn't even bother. Like no one's going to email me. What's the no one,
Except that, no email,
nothing.
How long were you like that for? 2
the
years?
whole time I was traveling.
The whole 2 years?
Yeah. Because I didn't bother. I was too free, man. Because I had no connections with anything. I used to ring up my sister randomly and say, hey, I'm in Santorini, or, I'm now in, Berlin or something. And that's all she knew, basically. That he's around somewhere, My friends, they had no idea, where's Taran? Nothing. Like literally, I used to speak to them on Skype. Back in the day, it was Skype. And I used to tell them, hey, I'm here. They used to be like, okay, good to know you're still alive. So that's how I was moving, man. And so when I moved here, I told her, I said, this is how I am. This is my life. And she said, that's cool. But what happened was there was a connection. So then when I was traveling again, I kept getting drawn back to her. We were messaging and things like that. And then when I came back, back then it was still living, my sister and I and her partner and all were living in my parents' home. So then we decided that, I needed some money, she needed some money.
Yeah.
We wanted to sell the house.
Yeah.
There was obviously still a mortgage and all left on it, but they had built up equity in it. So we were going to get some money. And so one day, so Ksenia and me, we started dating. And so my sister decided to, so what they decided was they'll buy out my share because they both had jobs and stuff. I had nothing. I had no job, no income. No one was going to loan me anything. So they said so we agreed on a number, and they bought out my share. And then I rang up Ksenia. I said, can I come live with you? And she was like, what? I said, yeah, don't worry. If you don't want me to sleep in the room, I'll sleep on the couch or whatever. Yeah. And somehow by life, she
said
trusted
yes.
It, man. Yeah,
she
said yes. And then I moved into her place, and that's we kind of just started living together.
Yeah.
And I was still not doing anything in life. I tried many things. I tried going into interviews, tried real estate, went and tried to meet some people who are doing real estate. And
so you never actually ended up getting your license. So what was the whole real estate thing about? What were you planning to actually do? Sell properties or invest?
No, so I was meeting with, I wanted to get into investing myself at some point, but I was meeting people who, they're more like property finders.
Yeah.
So you don't have to have a real estate license for that. They are, they're just hunting deals, speaking to the local people in their community and just hunting deals. And there was a website where people who don't want to go through real estate, they can sell through. Yeah. So that is where I was trying to get into, just to kind of dip my toes in and see what it all feels like. But nothing really manifested, man. I went for a couple of interviews, and I guess now like the real estate world is quite cutthroat and people
Very
are very
sharky waters, man. Very sharky waters.
Yeah.
It's
So I was
fun fact actually. I was gonna join real estate about a year later, but then we went to breakfast together that morning at Wolfie's, not too far from here, and we were sitting down, we're planning, we're talking. The marketing agency, Transparent Digital Media, it was doing well, it was growing. So I was in the kind of crossroads, right? Do I carry on growing this, or where we in the future we have like AI kicking in heavily, and a lot of the stuff is getting automated in the digital marketing world too, and just like with any company, the bigger it grows, the more staff you need to service the clients. So I was in the crossroad, and it was very good that we had that conversation. I went back to the drawing board. So some good advice that you gave me, that if you're going to get started with real estate, get it done on this side, at least then you can hit the new year running. Whereas I'd be starting my course right now. If I didn't go back and reassess or anything, I would only be starting my real estate course now. I wouldn't have all of those deals off the books and all the deals that we have and the listings that we have going. So that conversation was very fruitful. So that's actually how I got started early with my real estate career.
Yeah, I guess if I had to say anything about that conversation, it was, for me, my mindset is that if I know one road is ending, right, and I have to turn, why do I have to get to the end of that road and then turn? Right? I'd rather turn now and start my new journey sooner rather than later. That's how I look at things. If I've already decided, the fact that you're already contemplating another idea means your current one is no longer serving you.
Yeah.
Right. So there's no point trying to find something in a business or find something in an opportunity that you've already shifted away from internally.
Yes.
Otherwise, you wouldn't look at anything else. You wouldn't even consider anything else. If you're all into something, even other opportunities might knock on your door and you'll be like, nah, I'm good, thanks.
But do you remember the conversation we had? And I kept telling you, man, like all of these other real estate clients, projects and everything that we had, and plus the marketing platform, Property Reels that we're working on and working with all these agents over the years. I remember telling you, man, like we've built some of their brands, right?
Yeah.
So like we've helped them come to the real estate world. We've helped them build their brand, get listings, sell listings. I'm like, man, at the end of the day, like a certain industry, individuals are generating like decent amount of cash, more than like what like a marketing agency is making.
Yeah.
And I remember there was a really good advice that you gave me. I don't know if you recall. We were training actually at the gym that time. It wasn't at the breakfast conversation. You said something along the lines of, you do the thing that you enjoy doing, but it also helps that if you do it with people that you like the company of. I don't know if you remember that. We had that conversation. He was saying something along those lines. Do you recall that? Not
entirely, but yeah, that's something that it's something that I would say, because that's a point that I agree with.
Yeah,
so.
And just like the first time me and you met, right? It was unexpected. It was literally one of the most chilling conversations that there was. It was in a cold plunge, I think. I just had got an ACL injury at football, and that was the first time we connected at Duvel. The gym was fairly new at that time as well. I was in the cold plunge. You were in the cold plunge actually, and I came in to get into the cold plunge. And I was limping. Then that's how the conversation started. You're like, what happened? And talking about it. And little did I know that you owned SwoleFoods at that time. I'd always obviously had seen the food around at the gym, but obviously didn't know you were the person behind it. And that was one of the, I guess, life-changing conversations as connected us, may as good friends today.
Yeah, of course.
And I got to learn a lot about you in that session as well, that the cold plunge session, I guess. I was in there for about half an hour, and you told me about wasn't a back injury, or you actually had grown up with this. It was like a long underlying issue that you had with your back, and it kind of got aggravated over the years, and you finally had gotten surgery done, and hence why cold plunging was really important. So with your back surgery and injury, how did it come about to be? And what was sort of like the point that made you realize that, life is actually really precious? And
the back injury for me was quite an old injury. I had actually hurt myself quite badly when I was 20 years old. I jumped off a scaffolding, being silly as you are when you're a young kid, and I had landed straight on my legs, and I had decompressed my discs, like it basically compress, not decompress, compress my discs, and it took me a few months to start healing again. But ever since that, for about 18 to 20 years, I self-managed. So because also my background as a trainer, it became an opportunity for me to focus a lot more on flexibility and strength and core stability and things like that. So,
but you're under constant pain over those years, or was it like come and go?
No. So the pain was coming and going. In a year, I would have spurts of, a couple of months of pain, and then it would subside and it would come and go. It was very cause related as well. So, if I was overtraining or if I'd pushed heavy in the gym, because those years I was still doing deadlifts and all that kind of stuff. So if I was being silly, then my body would give me a signal, that you've pushed it. But as I grew older and, with the different life challenges that I experienced, both physically and psychologically and all that, to cut a long story short, with the spine in 2017, late 2016, I started getting pain again. And then in 2017, in January 2017, I was still going to the gym, all of that. I was just having breakfast one day with Ksenia, and I after finishing breakfast, I could not stand up. Like I physically could not get my body to lift up. And it was a very new experience for me, because I don't know what had happened at that moment. And so that lasted for a few minutes, and then she helped me lie down, and then I got sensation back in my leg again, and I started moving again. But that was when I stood up, that's when the pain began. So when I was sitting eating breakfast, I was not in pain. Then when she lay me down, I was not in pain. But then when I eventually found my strength to stand up, that's when the pain just went through a whole new level. So I had to lie down again. And we even, decided if I had to go into an emergency and stuff, but we ended up not going because I thought it's another heavy magnitude of back pain. And so I just needed to rest it out. And so I did that for a couple of days. I didn't have a job or anything anyway, so I was resting. And then we had an appointment with one of the doctors. I went there. They gave me a referral
for a specialist.
After a lot of pushing, because the first thing was take some Panadol.
That's it.
Yeah. And I went to a specialist, and then they said, "Look, you are a candidate for spinal fusion because your L4."
Was that serious?
Yeah. They saw the X-ray. They got me to do X-rays and all that before I could meet the surgeon, because that's all the reports they needed.
Yeah.
So X-ray, MRI, everything was done, and they said you're a candidate for spinal fusion, and we recommend you get onto it quick. And I, being again from the background with the fitness and stuff, I knew what a fusion is, the procedure, and the lifestyle that I wanted to live. That wasn't the most beneficial surgery that I could get. But they didn't give me another option here in New Zealand. So
it wasn't going to be viable long term for you, for like a solution.
Yeah. There was just risks involved with that. So I, in the surgeon's clinic, just jokingly, I just blurted out saying, "Hey, isn't there it's technology has evolved so much. Isn't there like some titanium or something you can put in my lower back?"
Yeah.
And he laughed about it. I laughed about it. And he said, no, there's nothing like that. And so we left Ksenia, and we left with no kind of hope of what the next step is going to be. I just realized, for me, it was like, I'm just going to live through this pain. And when she was driving back, I just told her, I said, "Hey, if this concept or this sentence I blurted out, then maybe, I want to trust that. Maybe it came from another place, like life is giving me some hint or something." And I said, maybe we look into it, it's titanium in the lower back.
Because if you can think it, maybe it exists.
Yeah, or...
And at this point, you had no idea.
No idea. I had no concept of that, And so we started, we got home and she opened a computer and we started looking and just Google, titanium, disc, this, that. And obviously once Google understands what you're trying to look for, it starts feeding you the right. So we came across this artificial disc replacement and started really going into in depth with all what that is about. So we spent the next few days just researching on all that surgery, because now we found out that there's a surgery taking place where they remove your discs and put an artificial disc in. And so for me, every part of my being felt that is my answer. You know, I was so clear. I had not even an ounce of doubt in my mind that is what I need.
Yeah.
I need
and how new was this procedure?
Yeah, it was
at the
very
time?
new in the world.
It was very
Yeah,
new at the
very
beginning.
new, yeah.
And you had to go, obviously they didn't offer this in New Zealand for you to get that done, because sometimes like some of the specialist things that we need getting it done, countries like India, US, I think, where did you go? Germany, yeah. They're like way further ahead in getting it done. People don't realize things, just like you spoke of it, it actually existed.
Yeah.
And then, so from the time you found out this thing exists, how long after till you were like? A month.
Yeah. So everything aligned, man. It was, I contacted the agency. They contacted me back within 24 hours. You know, it was like they knew my life. They knew how I'm experiencing pain, the growth, all of that. They knew that the pain comes and goes, and you know, he knew. The doctor, in fact, the surgeon rang me from Germany.
Yeah,
spoke to me for 45 minutes, and the local guys here didn't even give me a half an hour appointment.
Yeah,
and he said, "Look, we need some more tests, so we're going to send you whatever tests you need to do." And it was everything just aligned. Like it was, life just guided me to that. You know, a month later, I was in Germany.
Getting the surgery.
Wow. And then, I was there for another few weeks after. And 24 hours after my surgery, I was standing up and walking. You know, obviously with
crutches.
With not crutches, it had the walker.
Oh, yes.
But,
we can actually bring that up if we go to Taran's Instagram. He's actually dedicated and made a whole Instagram to fitness, lifestyle, and talks about his surgery, his experience, and I guess other people also suffering with similar.
I think the surgery one is right up, I believe.
Conditions, back conditions and stuff like that.
All the way.
I guess you talk a lot about
that
mindset.
One on the right.
On the right, yeah, that one there. So that walker thing.
Yeah, so it was 24 hours after they had replaced my discs. Wow, look at that, man.
You know, how many years ago was this?
2017, 1st August 2017.
So 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Or 8 now. 7, 8 years ago. Wow. And how's the back been ever since that?
Yeah, man, it's changed my life. You know, it's just, I say it's like a second innings for me, because that guy there, you know, he was living a very different life to what I am now.
Well, if you guys are struggling with back pain or any sort of injuries or anything, definitely go check out Taran's Instagram. Look him up. It's up on the screen right now. And for the people that are listening, it's Taz, Tazma.
C-H-R. M-A-C-H-R.
It's a T-A-Z, right?
Yeah.
T-A-Z, yeah. Check it out, and you'll be able to get motivated and fight. And not only that, you talk about other health and fitness and exercise tips and stuff there as well. I've seen you've been uploading some new videos and stuff like that as well, apart from the injury stuff. So
yeah, just trying to share my little story, you know, like people, I'm not very, very active as much as I would like to be, just because of all the things that I'm juggling at the moment. But now I'm 42 years old now. So just to even be able to do the things I do and train the way I train, I think that works as a inspiration for anyone younger or older, you know?
Yeah. If you switch to some of the exercise ones, Nathan, over there.
So that was the transformation as well. So before spine surgery on the top left,
the first post, the pinned one.
Yeah. So that was before and after spine surgery.
So it's possible. It's possible for anyone that's going through injury, that's going through some, difficulties and getting in shape. I mean, even might not be nothing wrong with you. You might not have an injury. It's just, I guess, comes down to the people you surround yourself with, most importantly, and I guess it ultimately comes down to you, right? Your mindset. What's that, say, top 2 tips you'd give to somebody? Either they had an injury, they're struggling, and they're using that as a self-defense mechanism to say that, hey, look, I've injured, I've had this, and that's why I can't XYZ. Or some people that just like say that I'm not motivated enough. What's 2 top tips that you'd give them?
I mean, look, the way I perceive life right now is every situation in life happens. Things happen, and how you react to them and the meaning of what has happened, you give that, right? A situation is a situation, and then good, bad, horrible, terrible, or amazing is something that you've given it. The way I look at it is, if you've had an injury or if you're going through a hard time, not necessarily injury, just even a tough time, because even before that, I was, like I said earlier, no job, no idea, no concept of what my life is going to be. The way I see it now is that you have to, try to look deeper and say, what has this come to teach me? What has this event in my life come to teach me? And more often than not, you will see that all of these things have a deeper purpose. These things happen to people, and we're too quick to judge them at a superficial level. But once you dig deeper, the question you ask is, what can I learn from this? How can I see this from not my, attachment level, but from what is life teaching me here? And for me, it was more about just a self-discovery, just to find out what I'm made of, how much, when life pushes you to that extreme and you've got nowhere else, there's no
when your back is up against the wall,
there's
it's
no way out.
There's nothing much more you can do except for move forward, right? Because you're already backed up as far as you can go.
But even when you're at that place, even when I was at that place, I guess I was fortunate enough to have the awareness to recognize that, hey, but I'm still here. I've still got, this is even before the spine surgery. I was like, but man, there's billions of people on this world who are much worse off.
Yeah.
So it's like, for me, I always give this example to people where, like a pair of clothes, jacket that you may have at home. You might have 3 or 4 jackets at home. You might have 7 or 10 shoes at home. And that is more than there's people like us working and living on this planet. They would live their whole life. They would work their whole life, and they would never be able to save enough money to buy 2 pairs of shoes like that. They would never. For them, there's not even a concept to have a pair of boots and then some running shoes and then some gym shoes. It's so far away from their reality. So for me, the way I look at it is, you have to really simplify it all, man. Like, you can't get so emotionally caught up with all this. It's like, I'm still here. My life is better than a dream life of billions of people.
Yeah.
And then I guess you become very grateful, and gratitude becomes your energy rather than a negative, self-pity and victimization of your own self. All of that is, a weak mindset.
100%, man. And I think a lot of young people these days, they fail to realize that how fortunate that, first of all, I feel, to be living in a country like New Zealand, right? As much as people would want to complain about New Zealand, this, that, whatever it is, but to be able to be in a place like New Zealand, we have fresh air, green, there's no shortage of water, there's no wars here. I think people fail to realize how fortunate they are. And I think, like, the other day, somebody that was having a tough time with something, and I had a good conversation with them, and I said, like, every morning you wake up, you ask yourself, what are the 3 things that you're grateful for today, or that you are this week, or whatever it may be, just to make you realize how well off you are, like you said, than millions, if not, billion people out there that are way less fortunate that won't even own a pair of shoes in their lifetime.
Yeah. Also, like a good way to get out of a situation, and this is something that I've started kind of bringing into my day-to-day more recently, is the 2-2-2 rule. This is something I've probably not shared with you before as well. So
2-2-2.
Yeah,
so 3 twos.
3 twos. Yeah. So it's like if I'm dealing with something, whether it's at work or personal or whatever, right? So the rule goes like this: like I want to get absorbed. Like if it's absorbing me, like if it's consuming my energy and all of that, it can last for 2 minutes, right? And then the questions I ask is, after 2 minutes, right, I take the next 2 minutes to not be in that same height. Like if I'm angry, like, if I'm stressed about business or something like that, the first 2 minutes, you're unaware that something just grasps you, right? And then you become unaware that this is how I'm reacting. But then you have the awareness that, I'm angry at the moment, or I'm like reacting or whatever. So you take 2 minutes after that to assess that reaction. And you will be amazed as to how it drops, right? And then another question I say is it going to last 2 years from now? Is this going to matter? Right? So I take first 2 minutes, it's got me. The next 2 minutes, I dissect it.
Yeah.
And then in that 2 minutes, I ask a question: in 2 years from now, is this going to matter? And
what if the answer to that is no? So if in 2 years' time it's still gonna,
nothing will matter.
If it's no, or it is no, right? What is it gonna?
You drop it. You drop it.
So you don't let it bother you.
No, you drop it. Because think about what was the 3 biggest problems you had 2 years ago?
They don't matter.
No, they don't. You can't even remember. Yeah. What was the 3 biggest problems you had 2 months ago?
You know one funny thing that comes to my mind? A guy that, like, I think a few years ago, was like, man, can't find a girl to marry, finally gets married, and a few years later, why did I get married?
Exactly.
At a point in time, it's like, that was his issue. He couldn't get married.
Yeah.
Then after, he's like, why did I do it?
Yeah.
So his problems changed.
So many things in life are like that, like you want it, and then when you get it,
it either creates more problems for you, or
the
it's
meaning
like
changes.
The meaning for it changes.
The meaning changes.
It's not as great as you thought it was going to be.
A lot of times especially when we are, I guess when you're someone who's very driven and they're like, you have to chase it and you have to run for this, and people are like, driven for that, and a lot of people suffer that.
Yes.
They're like, I don't have that. I want that car, or I want that job, or I want that next deal. And when you eventually get it, it has absolutely no meaning. So what I've realized and is like, when you don't have something and then in your mind you say, I don't have that, now you automatically start suffering the not having of that, because you've now given that thing
that you want
so
much importance
and power over you.
Yeah.
Right. So now you're suffering the gap between you here and you not having it. So you were absolutely fine. Then you took this idea on, I want that.
You created it yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. And then you're running for it because you don't have it. And then when you get it, you're like, oh, but it gave me nothing.
Yeah.
But what it gives you is that you stop, you drop the idea of now don't have it anymore.
Yeah. So
once that idea is gone, you're back to happy again.
It's almost like having a new iPhone or a new Samsung, something like that, right? When the new phone comes out, you want it. Once you get it, it's new for like a couple of days, and then it's like it doesn't even matter anymore.
Yeah, it's like with the phone, for example, or if I have that phone, I'll be happy. Happy. But the phone doesn't give anybody happiness.
Yeah.
In fact, after some time, it can become the cause of your biggest misery. Sometimes it's like it doesn't stop ringing, and you want to throw it. So it's amazing how, I guess, I guess we got here from you asking me how, if someone is going through something in life, what you would tell them.
Summarize it. So top two advice.
I would just say, look, if for the first 2 minutes you're kind of getting punched, Then you recognize that you're getting punched, so you kind of stop 2 minutes, spend 2 minutes and it could be as simple as even just breathe deep, and just calm that energy down, and then ask yourself a question: is this going to matter in 2 years?
Yeah. So to summarize that, first 2 minutes, process it.
First 2 minutes you can't, because when something takes you over, you are now you'll react.
It.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're it's an autopilot. You're just reacting now.
So first take the 2 minutes. So if something goes wrong, you need to do something. Take the 2 minutes, first 2 minutes to react. Take the next 2 minutes to deal with it, process it, and then ask yourself the question: will this thing or whatever it is matter in 2 years' time?
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, so I'm going to stop this right over there. So, guys, this is the end of the podcast. But if you want to tune in and listen to what SwoleFoods is all about, how it came about to be, where it is now, and where it is heading, and all the delicious meals and everything that they have on the books, tune into the next segment where we're going to go over SwoleFoods. But till then, catch you and have a good one.